Bet you weren't expecting to see this car. A couple days ago it started leaking quite a bit of coolant after I drove it. Coolant light was coming on. Unfortunately, I think that means that my radiator has officially shit the bed. So today I'm going to be doing that, and then if I can find where I put my thermostat for it, I'll be doing that as well. But I think that might be at my house in the 850. So for sure the radiator, possibly thermostat. This car, the entire front end's been apart before, obviously, to put this engine in it. However, I did not do the radiator at the time, and I didn't even take it out of the car at the time. So it's a little more involved than a non-M e46, just because of how many screws are on the shrouding and the plastic stuff on the bottom. But I've got a lift. That's not really that big a deal. And yeah, it just needs to be done because it's going to be 92 or 93 degrees the next few days, and I would rather drive this. So first step is going to be to grab a side cutters or a dike, take the clips out of this nose piece. You should have a pressure clip here as well. I've got a zip tie because that's all I had. Take that out, and then we're going to work on the air box as well, getting that out of the way. Well, a couple pieces of shrouding and the air box out of the way. Get this out. It's obviously just that little 10 mil, or standard screw, and then two 10 mils here. Yours probably won't come apart like this because I actually modified the upper shroud so I could install and remove it without taking the radiator hose off. So I thought that was kind of a design flaw. So if you've got it this far on the top side, that's basically all you need to do until we undo some stuff on the bottom. We will come back for these two. You have to deal with them, but really not urgent until you've dealt with the heat shielding and aerodynamic ducting on the bottom. The things you do for aerodynamics. So the next piece is to take this shield off. It's a combination of 10 mil and 8 mil hex head bolts. As you can see, my car is currently leaking coolant. Shocking, right? So, yep, just take that bad boy off, and then you should have access to the Torx bits that are on the bottom of the radiator shroud. Now that that's dealt with, there are Torx screws, one on each side, that hold the shrouding around your oil cooler. And for that, you need a Torx T25. So zip those bad boys out and then set the car back down because we're going top side. Also, make sure it's your radiator first because it appears mine is probably actually the water pump. Very, very odd, but if that's the case, not a huge deal. I have those as well. Thank goodness for parting out donor engines. Actually, disregard that last piece. These are different Torx than I was thinking of. You can see it right down in the bottom middle corner of your screen, the center there. There's one on that side, and there's one beneath this piece on this side. But you have to undo that little clip first. Again, I prefer using a side cutters to pull those out. So once you've done that, single tab on the top here. That pulls out your big honking electrical connector for your E-fan. Also pulls out, but not quite as easily. Oh my. Well. Aha, victorious. There are two tabs on this one. Pinch those together, pull it out, and then just set it aside. Get the idea. In theory, that one unplugs as well. Shroud came off easily. That did too. Just had to mess with a little bit more. There's one Torx up here. That should also be a 25. I'm going to go back, lift the car back up. This one you can get pretty easily topside. That one, not so much. It's below the radiator hose on the shroud, so I'm just going to go back up, undo them, and then come back down, take the shroud out, and then try to better assess the situation. So there you have it. That's the one underneath the radiator outlet hose. That's the one on the driver's side of the car. Not sure why they did that exactly, but here we are. Alright, those 3 are out, so you should be able to just kind of lift up on your shroud, and there's a trick to it, I think, but wiggle it back and forth aggressively until it comes out, set it aside, and wow, I don't know. That looks like thermostat housing. Oh, sure enough, it doesn't look like it's torqued down all the way. Looks like the bracket's a little bit bent. Well, I think I have another one of those brackets, so I'll do that up. I'm probably going to replace the water pump and thermostat at this point anyway, because if you're this far into it, it's pretty stupid not to. The pumps are kind of expensive for this car, but I'm pretty sure I've got a good used one in here. Yep. That one does not look very old, so probably toss that one in the car, just to be safe. Fun fact, these are multi-layer steel gaskets from the factory, so you can reuse them. I would recommend a little bit of RTV on it, but good stuff. So once you've got those off, there's just one more bolt that actually ties it in up here. There it is. This guy right there. Back that out, it's another T25. Under your 2 radiator hoses, and that thing just lifts straight out, no problem. This radiator, other than the fact that I dragged the engine across it when I pulled it out, really doesn't look that bad, but I'll show you the other side of it in a minute, which is why it was cooling so inefficiently. Just kind of waiting for this hose to finish draining out. I only have one drain pan here, and I'm putting in this triple core all aluminum radiator because this car very likely will see some track use. Also, up here, I went to tighten these down and all 3 of them are stripped out. So I didn't even pay attention to this when I put the engine in, but clearly somebody's done the thermostat in this before, did a very bad job. So I took the bracket off and I was able to torque them enough. I do have the new thermostat, but it's not here. At this point, since that is damaged, I'm probably going to order a brand new water pump, do that as well, and just sort of make sure it's bulletproof, because with something that sketchy, it really means that you need longer hardware, and I don't really have time to go get that right now. These are tapped all the way through, it feels like, into the timing case, which is a good thing, but just not a whole lot more thread there for them to grab onto. So it's unfortunate, but what can you do when you buy a used car? I really can't believe this car didn't overheat with a radiator packed that full of crap. That's amazing. Clearly they drove through a lot of cottonwood. Wow. Yeah, that will definitely be a massive improvement. You will notice that the radiator is back out of the car, and that's because in their Chinese factory, they welded the fittings onto the radiator the wrong way. That side should be welded against the tank, and this sloped side is there for seating the O-ring and ramping up to clip in. So this radiator will not work in that car. Luckily, I think I can shave these down and use it as a regular radiator in the E30 or something, but I had to spray all the shit out of the old radiator and put it back in the car. So basically, all I did was rehab the old radiator, tighten down the bolts on the thermostat housing, and it's very, very happy now. I haven't taken it on a drive yet, but I left it idling on the lift for 20 minutes checking for leaks. Not only that, I found which wire was unplugged for the oil temperature on the gauge cluster, so I plugged that in. Turns out there was an SMG plug that was exactly the same. That was plugged in instead. Weird that it didn't work. So anyway, I'm gonna put Mr. Wags away downstairs and take that thing home. Weird turn of events. Look at that, working oil temperature. Weird. This car is fully coated now. As far as the engine computer is concerned, I still have an issue with the rear right speed sensor for the DSC, which is why I have DSC brake, ABS, and TPMS on. I will deal with that, but at the time being, I don't really care, so yay.